You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, we are discussing Transcontinental Tour by Kyle, aka David Gillis. This album was self-released on Bandcamp at lekyle.bandcamp.com, and it was available temporarily as a cassette tape with lyric fold-out zine. This album was released on January 31st, 2025.
So, do you want to see the zine?
Yeah, I would love to.
So here it is. So there's a map on one side of it, and there's actually something that it's like labeled right here. It says Palestine, but it's a Canadian settlement, I think. I don't know a ton of history about it. I wasn't able to do as much research on this episode as I usually do, but there's a map here, and there is a settlement called Palestine in the lyrics for the album. So this is actually like a real map as far as I can tell that's connected to the record itself.
That's
That's
interesting.
that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
And then on the other side is a handwritten lyric sheet. And you can see there in the video it says Kyle Transcontinental Tour, and then at the bottom it says David Barry Gillis 2025. But these are all the handwritten lyrics. So here's the fold-out zine that is that you just mentioned. Here is the album cover of the
Love it.
cassette tape, which is what people will see if they go into Beef's Bandcamp. And it's a picture of the Eclipse, which we'll talk about in a little bit, with a track listing on the front. And then on the back, there's another track listing with people in the snow. And it looks like maybe that's a picture as well from another Eclipse photo, but then the track listings on the back. And here is the side of the cassette tape. Notice that it says Treaty 1, where a record label would be listed. So that's obviously a reference to the Treaty 1, the indigenous treaties that the Canadian government made with the indigenous populations of Canada. And where Winnipeg is settled is in a zone called Treaty 1. So that's what the packaging looks like. And the cassette tape is on white. So here it is.
Love it. I love a good handwritten lyrics.
Yeah, and obviously that's a propaganda related staple over the years. If you look at some of their earlier releases, I mean, it's Chris's like scrawl, right?
I find it
From so
just so
many.
much more personal and like just like a insight into the lyricist's brain rather than just like printed out and stylized lyrics. Give me those handwritten lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and it's like, man, this is actually Beeves' handwriting, which is really, really cool to think about because it just makes the personal process of creating music communicated more personally whenever you look directly at their actual handwriting, because you can just picture them at a desk, just like laboriously writing all these out, but trying to be legible at the same time, you know? So it's like you have to be a little more careful than if you were just like making a note to yourself. Uh, on like your work day or something when you're the only one that has to understand what it looks like and be able to read it. But this is like, okay, people are actually going to see this no matter how many copies he made. I don't know how many copies of this tape wound up being made. Not a lot. It's sold out on Bandcamp. And as far as I know, you cannot buy it anymore. Maybe if you harass Beeve, maybe he would be willing to make one for you, but I have no idea how if he's ever going to do any of these again. But right now, it's just digitally with a very limited cassette tape run, and I'm glad I snagged one when I had the chance.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
The so what have you been up to? I can't even remember the last time we recorded an episode. I feel like it was like a month ago, maybe a
White,
couple
Proud, and
weeks.
Stupid, right?
Yeah, I don't remember when we recorded that. Like it came out recently, but was it like weeks
I,
ago? I
I,
my
you know, I have no idea. Truly, like my brain no longer processes time in any kind of rational sense, and it just slips by. Yet yesterday was actually the 29th anniversary of the release of Less Talk More Rock, and I have a 25th anniversary copy of it on gold vinyl. And I was like, oh my God. So the 25th anniversary vinyl came out, and all of a sudden it's 4 years later. Like, what in the world is even happening? So, don't know when we recorded last, but what have I been up to? Um,
I guess we have to start planning our 30th Let's Talk More Rock episode, right?
yeah. What's so funny is like we did we finished episodes for every single song. So maybe I need to go back through and see if we can do like a covers uh 30th anniversary celebration episode and republish all the covers that have appeared on those episodes in like one long thing, but also solicit more covers. You know what I mean? Like I really liked what we did for the 30th of How to Clean Everything. And as insane as it sounds, I am willing to do that for the 30th of Less Talk More Rock, but we should definitely start planning it soon, shouldn't we?
Yeah, like I don't think I've done a single Less Talk song on this show.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I have. I'm trying to
Huh.
think. I can't remember. I don't think I think maybe we did the like the talking parts.
Oh, the public disservice announcement.
Yeah, I think that's the only song on Less Talk that I've done.
Okay, well that sucks. We will do a 30th anniversary then just to celebrate your thoughts on that record. And I my thoughts on that record are extremely well documented at this point. So I will be featuring your voice as much as possible on that episode. Maybe you can try to track down a couple of special people from your life as well to celebrate the 30th of that record. So we'll see. We will obviously dig something up. Let's see. So yesterday was that. We did White, Proud, and Stupid. Great episode. I really had a good time with that one. People may have found the Easter egg that I embedded at the very end of that episode, which was me completely embarrassing myself. What else? I've been cycling a lot because the weather has turned, which has been great to get back out on my bike. I am a
Bike
far
buds,
happier
let's
person.
go.
Yeah, I'm a far happier person when I'm cycling more. And as completely bananas as the world is, me being on my bike more is only a good thing. We have been renovating a home office for the impending relocation this summer to cohabit in my partnership with Patrina, which is fabulous. I'm very excited about it. I
They
painted a
look like they're coming
ceiling.
along great.
Dude, I painted a ceiling the other day. I don't know when the last time you painted a ceiling is, but it's hard.
I try and
Uh,
avoid it to be honest. Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
sucks.
yeah. We did some painting ourselves because it wound up saving us over $2,000, which was really a nice little savings whenever we're doing a massive construction project. What else? I saw Del Paxton, my favorite Buffalo band, on Record Store Day, play in a garage in the back of a record store called Black Dots.
It's
Um,
it's
I
like
think
I appreciate that Del Paxton are your favorite Buffalo band in a world where Snapcase exist.
I know, right? Well, the thing is, man, Snapcase is so intermittent that I feel like they're almost quasi-retired at this point. So if I was including my all-time favorite Buffalo bands, I mean, I have to throw in Hold Me Up and Jed era Goo Goo Dolls in on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so I'd have to throw in like Ani DeFranco in there as well. Do you know what I mean? Snapcase. Um,
Does Cannibal Corpse count as a Buffalo band?
Yeah, for sure, man. They definitely do. They are Western New York through and through. And I mean, Scott Vogel is from Buffalo. Is Terror consider them?
Terror an LA band. They're an
Yeah,
LA band.
they consider themselves a California hardcore band, but Scott Vogel is a Buffalo guy. He lives in Buffalo.
Cinder
So
Block, Buried Alive.
I know, I know. So there are so many great ones, but Del Paxton, man, they are my number one. It helps that I'm friends with one of the guys in the band, but Del Paxton's my number one. So I saw them.
Awesome.
I got some cassette tapes at that show from a local Buffalo record label called Triple Hammer Records. I got the demo from a awesome hardcore band called Do Crime, which is a great name.
Love it.
And I also got two cassette tapes from another local Buffalo band that I love called Gatto Black at that show. So,
Black Cake, love it.
well, cat. It's a cat reference. Los
Gâteau?
Gatos. Yeah.
Oh, gâteau is cake in French.
Interesting. So it's Black Cake or Black Cat.
So is it
Um,
spelled Gateaux?
nope. Nope.
How is it
It's
spelled? Oh,
Gatto, which in
oh,
Spanish
well,
it's
here we
gato
are.
is with one T. Anyway, we are going nuts here, but Gato Black, great local Buffalo band.
Shout
Del
out to
Paxton.
shout out to Matt Comtois. He's the only other person that's gonna get mixed up. That thing
Gâteau.
better than me.
Gâteau. Okay, what about you guys? What have you been up to?
Um, Honestly, biking. I had my first ride on the new bike the other day. Loved it. Gonna go out for a nice ride today. The NHL playoffs have started,
Hmm.
which has been exciting. Um, my Montreal Canadiens are down 2-0 to the Washington Capitals. However, they're 2 years ahead of schedule on the rebuild. They weren't planning on making the playoffs for another 2 years. So this is all bonus hockey.
Mm,
And they're the youngest team to ever make the playoffs on average age.
okay.
And so this is getting them some really valuable experience going forward. So 2027, 2028, and 2029, I expect the Montreal Canadiens to be Stanley Cup contenders for all of those years. It's a
When were
bright,
they?
bright future.
They were in the finals really recently. What year was that when they went to the finals?
2020.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool.
And then they've started finishing last place after that, and then basically they committed to a full rebuild that said it was going to take 5 years, and we're 3 years into that now.
That is awesome.
So,
Very good.
so that's good. In addition to that, I would like to talk about a record that recently came out that is completely unrelated to this, but I've listened to it, no joke, probably 75 times since
Oh my
last
Lord.
week. It is
Okay.
so good. The new Weapon X Demo 2.
Okay. I've never even heard of this.
It is unbelievable good.
Weapon
And
X.
yeah, I just needed to. So it's the guys from Knocked Loose, Inclination, and Gates of Hell. It's their band together. So it's got Brian from Knocked Loose, the vocalist, on bass, and it's so good. And they have a song with Earth Crisis on it.
Mm.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
you texted me about this the other day.
it is so good.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. Weapon X Demo 2 Metal 2025. It's like an orange logo, right? Am I thinking of the
Yeah,
right thing?
it is
Okay.
it is so good.
Oh yeah,
It's
BNE featuring Earth Crisis. Oh
yeah,
man, I love that there's a song called that says featuring human garbage. That is really good. That's really
yeah.
good.
It is such an unbelievable like classic straight edge record. Love it.
Okay, cool. I will be
Um
listening to that later today.
and I wanted to give a special shout out to someone on this episode. I know they don't normally listen to this show,
Uh-huh.
but I wanted to give a special shout out to one Nicholas Costanzo
Oh, wonderful. Why?
because he maybe provided us with the most hilarious moment that's ever happened in our Discord recently.
Yeah.
And he's not even in our Discord.
Yeah.
So the backstory to this is Nicholas's dad, Corey, is a very active and valued member of our Discord.
He's also a great skateboarder and he does orthodontia in Northern
Yeah.
California.
And he's got a wonderful organization that he supports by auctioning off skateboards to raise money for kids.
Hmm.
Awesome dude. Anyways, so for a school project, I guess Nicholas had to build something, and he built I believe it's a cigar box guitar,
Hmm.
a functional cigar box guitar. And you being, you know, what did you suggest?
Well, I'm a maniac, so I said, please record a propaganda cover on that cigar box guitar.
And obviously Corey was like, hell yeah. So
Yeah.
he texted his son about this, and I will read you the exchange between Corey and his son that Corey screenshotted and posted in the Discord.
Yeah.
It says, Nick, I had to share the pic of your guitar with my Discord friends. Now Greg wants us to come on the podcast. Hope you're ready for fortune and fame. And then it's the emoji with the stars in the eyes he put after that. So well
Hmm.
done on the emoji use, Corey. Here is Nicholas's response to Corey. Oh, wow. I'm sure all 9 Propagandy fans will love that. That is maybe the funniest thing
I mean,
ever.
it's a sick burn. I really
Oh,
wonder, like, we should have asked what kind of music Nicholas actually listens to, but that is really, really funny because I mean, that's about in line with the data for the podcast listenership as well.
so I feel like we could take this opportunity to name all of those 9 people.
Paul, Jamie, Matt Comtois, uh, Grazi, Mandy, um,
Yeah.
yeah, Steven. There's so many Steves. There's a Steve and Matt club in the Discord because we have so many Steves and Matts.
It's
Okay.
just absolute burn of the year by Nicholas. So
Email.
shout out to Nicholas because you win.
Yeah, I love it.
We are
Oh,
we are all losers and you win.
dude, and you know what I just realized? So the new Propaganda record comes out in 8 days.
Is it 8 days already?
8 days. It's 8 days away from the time we're recording this on April 24th, 2025.
I'm excited for everyone to hear this.
I am also excited for everyone to hear this. Like I'm avoiding talking about it too much, but I am very curious what the internet chatter is going to be about the record.
I've only mentioned the record to one person, and it was
Hmm.
obviously Zoe, and it was right after we listened to it.
Hmm.
But let me just say that Zoe's curious.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I'm so curious what people are going to say. Oh my God. And um I'm just gonna leave it at that for now.
Yeah,
I really am. Um
I think it's going to be a good week.
I've listened to the record over 50 times at this point, and I'm not even joking. I've listened to it so many times. And I should mention that on May 2nd, on release day, there will be a special episode that comes out featuring Jason Livermore, who mixed and mastered the record, John Paul Peters, who engineered the record, Chris Hanna, who
Played on the
played on the
record.
record, wrote the record, but also engineered all of the guitars that he plays and all of the vocals that he performs. He did that at home. So the story of At Peace will be out on the podcast on May 2nd. And I will also be republishing 2 interviews, an interview that I did with Todd in August of 2023 when they were in the thick of writing, and an interview with Jord from August of 2024 after they had done a lot of tracking. So I'm republishing those Todd and Jord interviews because after hearing the record, those conversations will have new context. And I also will have an article out on the website. I have that on vinyl.com where I write about propaganda, but not at all in relation to the new record. So there will be a very random article from me coming out on May 2nd. And I have that on vinyl.com. I'm really stoked about it.
Oh, that's super fun.
And if you follow the social media, you'll understand some of my recent posts that I've made on social media in relation to the thing that I did for I have that on vinyl.com. But yeah, that's what we got going on, man. That's I don't know.
2 things. This episode now absolutely needs to come out prior to release day. Because
Oh,
if this
absolutely.
episode now comes out after release day, we sound like bozos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number two, if I could just, because I'm still really desperately trying to get rid of these, but if anybody listening, all 9 of you, needs 2 tickets to Tied Down Festival in Detroit, please email propagandipod@gmail.com. I have 2 tickets with balcony upgrade for Tied Down Festival in Detroit featuring American Nightmare, Foundation, Speed, Judge, Trial, Gridiron, Neverending Game, Fiddlehead, Hope Conspiracy. I cannot cross. I am very uncomfortable with the idea of crossing the border into the US right now,
Mm,
especially after we just released White, Proud, and Stupid, given that they Google my name of any sort.
yeah,
Um, so if anyone is, I just need to get rid of these tickets to not be out money right now. Please email propagandipod@gmail.com and we can work something out. If you'd like to go to
please.
this amazing festival that I've been to for the last 2 years, it's in Detroit and
Yeah,
it is May 31st and June 1st.
I also know a guy in Grand Rapids, Michigan, that I'm going to reach out to and see if he knows anybody who might be interested in going. Maybe if we could focus on Michigan, maybe we can have some success unloading those tickets. But please do email us if you want those. Um, Hello, Greg here, interrupting the episode with some post-recording notes before we get into the conversation about the record Transcincontental Tour by Kyle. So we legit were saying transcontinental and not transincontinental throughout our conversation. And if you look at the cover of the album, it very clearly says Transcincontental Tour. I have to assume that is very purposeful. And we totally messed it up. So we don't really know what this means. It might be a play on the word incontinent. There's also a lyric about guano that we didn't even mention in our conversation. So the point here is that there may be a joke that we missed, and if so, that is awesome. Number 2, I found out more information about Palestine, Manitoba. I compared the map on the fold-out zine to a map of Lake Manitoba, traced it against a modern map of Manitoba, and found the area of Neepawa, Westbourne, and Gladstone, Manitoba, and then did some digging and came up with the fact that the community of Palestine, Manitoba later became Gladstone, Manitoba, and had a history marked by multiple name changes and development. Initially, it was known as Third Crossing, which is a track on this record. So that was pretty cool to discover. And it was renamed Palestine in 1872 and then Gladstone in 1879 after British Prime Minister William Gladstone. And Gladstone was incorporated as a town on July 18th, 1882. So there's a little more details from the record that we didn't discuss in the episode. Then, as far as the name Esselmont goes, I found a novelist from Winnipeg named Ian C. Esselmont, which was kind of fascinating. I also found some text from a book called The Assiniboine Basin showing the name Esselmont in Manitoba in relation to the Brandon, Manitoba police chiefs. So here's a little quote that I found. It says, Sergeant West acted as chief till John Esselmont assumed the command in 1913. All through World War I, Mr. Esselmont, a genial Scotsman, directed the destinies of Brandon Police Force. But with the end of the conflict, the people requested a war veteran, and Joseph Hardy, being appointed, held the chieftaincy until 1923. So those are my notes on a few more things in the record that we didn't discuss in this episode, but it was really kind of fun to discover these things after Steve and I had recorded, and I hope these notes are helpful, even though they're not in the conversation with Steve. Enjoy! Should we talk about Kyle for a little bit?
I would love to because this was, I have to say, such a pleasant surprise.
Dude, right? Okay. Let's get into this. Okay, before we talk about the songs, do you want me to share what I found with some listeners on the internet who
Yes.
have listened to it? Okay. So this is on Bandcamp. I went to Beeves Bandcamp, and really cool comment from friend of the podcast, Patrick Mullen, stands out. So this is Beeves' first solo record. Obviously he's he writes songs for Agassi. He's written propaganda songs like Tertium Non Dater. And he has also done a Bandcamp project, almost like a lullaby guitar record called it's a Strange Earth. Yeah, it's called Spawn Songs by Strange Earth on Bandcamp. Songs for his daughter, basically. But Patrick says An impressive first solo record, great sprinkles of reminiscent riffs and influences from the 90s, like Kim Thale from Soundgarden. That's an interesting reference.
Wow.
But also plenty stretching of the legs to explore some new, to me, ideas. Vocals are nicely polished and don't hide in the mix. Strong attention to lyrics. Never read a single lyric before from Beaver, but it's absolutely distinctly him. Clever, earnest, a little funny at points. Really like those comments from Patrick. I don't know if I necessarily agree about the vocals not hiding in the mix, which we'll talk about later. But really nice complimentary comments from Patrick. Somebody on Reddit, I posted on Reddit, I was like, hey, does anybody have any thoughts on this record? And somebody gave me a great comment. This is from Thomas OP, or Tom Aesop, I mean. Maybe it's a reference to Aesop Rock or something like that. So this is what Thomas said. I love Beeve. I think he truly injected a musical heart into the band at a time they needed it. He seems like an incredibly chill guy, too. When I heard him interviewed on his own and he was talking about how the early slacker type Propaganda No Effects records were so influential, it didn't seem to make sense. But hearing this Kyle record, the ungoogleable name of a Canadian hermit, I guess, that connection makes a little more sense. For one, David's rock singing voice is very much in Fat Mike's tonal range. And on the first few songs here, he really uses it in a way that nods to the 90s skate punk too. I can't help but think Family of Origin has something to do with his time in Propaganda or his punk roots in general. The song could have subbed in for one of the melodic tracks on Less Talk More Rock. Elsewhere, it sounds a bit more like atmospheric guitar sculpting in Agassi, and that's where the connections to everything I know of Beeves' background end. And somehow there's still more on this record. It's not a long record either. It's coherent. Every track is quality. There's no filler. Some may not grab you right away, but every time I listen, I pick up something new. The only other thing I can say is that the name Kyle, stylized in all caps, reminds me of the song Kyo or Kyeo by Fugazi, which was a synonym for keep your ears open. So I wonder if maybe there's an acronym here. I'll start. You think of your own. Keep your luthiers eating, kinky youth liberal ensemble, kick, yell, lunge, exit, kilt, yoke, loincloth, earmuffs. So that was a fun, thoughtful comment too.
I mean, luthiers do need to eat more.
Yeah. I mean, it cannot be an easy business to be in if you're a small scale guitar producer, you know?
I feel like everyone needs to support their local luthier.
Yeah. I used to have a Canadian acoustic guitar. I think it was just called Art and Luthier. Is that a common brand up in Canada?
I'm not the right guy to ask.
I used to own an acoustic guitar made by a company. I got the guitar. What's that big chain of of music stores in Canada for music? It's like a Guitar
Long,
Center, Long
like
and
Long and
McQuaid.
McQuaid.
Yep, I got an acoustic guitar at Long and McQuaid in Saskatoon. It was an Art and Luthier, and when I was moving several years back, I actually gave it to away to somebody back in Missouri, and I kind of regret that decision now. It was just I had too many things that I was trying to move, and I gave a guitar away. So hope that guitar
Do you
still
cur-
exists somewhere.
do you currently have a guitar in your house? I can't remember.
Yeah, I have a Mexican Fender Stratocaster, and I have an Ovation acoustic electric guitar. So yeah, I do. I have two.
That's weird. I've never even seen them in your house.
Well, I plan to hang them up someday, like yours is hanging on your wall right there. It's just that I haven't got around to it, and I don't really play it. Like I shouldn't even own these guitars. It's really just kind of they're being wasted living with me. So apologies to my guitars for being a bad guitar daddy.
I know
So
we got to get you. We got to get you on the TD-17 kit. We need to
I
get you
know.
one of those.
Dude, I know, man. If anybody out there wants to buy me an electronic drum set so Steve and I can record music, I am very, very open to receiving a gift of a wonderful acoustic or a wonderful electronic drum set. I even have a couple of models in mind. There's a $600 Alesis model that I would happily own. Okay, so few more comments. One from Jamie. Jamie Fougere wrote on Beeves Bandcamp, Viva La Biva, which was nice. And I also went to Chris's Patreon, which is where I heard about this record for the first time. And do you want to hear Chris's commentary about this record? Because it is very funny.
Please.
So on Patreon, Chris Hanna, vocalist, guitarist of a band called Propagandy, writes, haha, just totally out of nowhere, Beeve drops a solo album. The fucking guy was just over at my house cracking cold ones the other day and he doesn't bother mentioning it. Haha, classic Beeve. I should have known something was up late last year when he was asking me what a good vocal mic was. The last thing I expected was that he was asking for himself. I'm only one song in, but sounds pretty great so far. So, Chris, what do you think of Chris's comment?
I think that's Chris's comment could not be more Chris.
Yeah, yeah. He's very much himself, isn't he?
Yeah, there's no hiding that, and like it's just it's hilarious and just a really good kind of um insight into like their relationship in that it's so much more than just music related.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great comments as well. Matthew writes, Beeve forever. This is great. Daniel writes, I like Immense World and Family of Origin. Tom writes, bought it without listening because Propagandy alumni can take my money. Luckily, it rocks. Theo writes, those are some hot licks, Beeve. Ed writes, I just listened to the Tartuffe episode this week. He seems like such a cool guy. Joe writes, this rules. Old Growth Medicine and the Social Committee are straight up bangers. Igor writes, shit, thanks, Beeve. There's some real mighty deep stuff in there. What a 360-degree trip. My compliments. So, very complimentary reviews from some of the earliest listeners on the Chris Hanna Patreon page.
I think all of those comments are just too.
Yeah. And I don't know if people know about this, but Beef has a Substack as well. Uh, and he writes a note on his Substack about which I'll link if I remember in the show notes. I'll probably forget though. Um, Beef's Substack says, hey there, Earthlings. I have stated several times on record that I cannot sing, I will not sing, that I am unequivocally not a singer. Yet, here we are. Or rather, here I am to tell you about a solo album I recorded and recently released, which features me, yours truly, unequivocally singing. How on this strange earth did I get here? There is much I could say to answer this, but I am not feeling as talkative as I did when I started this newsletter. Let's just say that a convergence of my experiences as a parent wishing to model fearlessness to my kid and a series of family crises thrust a new perspective on me that I am grateful for. That, in this brief and fragile life, fear of others and what they may think is a waste of time. I'm done letting that kind of fear stop me. Yet, to be sure, the refrain, I can never let anyone hear these songs ever, ran through my head the entire duration of making this record, and I am overwhelmed with feelings of dread and doom because I have let others hear them. But in the final balance, I know I am better off having shared them than having not. Indeed, everything about executing this album was terrifying. To do it, I had to slip into a different skin. Enter Kyle. Kyle was the name I was born with, and I have reclaimed it for this project. It has served me well. Kyle is my what if. I found the process of writing lyrics and putting them to music incredibly fulfilling. This album, Transcontinental Tour, tells a story. It is the story of Kyle in context. Maybe it's a story you recognize. The album is available on Bandcamp. I am also doing a limited run of cassettes, which is how I would prefer the album to be experienced. Take care out there. So that's Beeves' note.
I I can relate so heavily to what he's talking about here in that he's not a singer and here we are. Specifically because in the song that we just released together,
Mm-hmm.
that is the first time I've ever had my vocals out on a song ever.
Mm.
And I buried them so low in the mix.
You did great backups, though. That was good stuff. You really
I
complimented it.
I buried them so low that because I was like, I can't have other people hear my terrible singing voice. So
And I'm just shameless about it.
I can relate to everything he says there because it's something that I've always been super self-conscious about too. And I'm like, I'm burying those guys to the point where no one's going to be even tell that I was on this song.
And isn't it funny that I could care less? I'm just like going for
You
it.
actually have a good singing voice, though. That's the difference.
I mean, I don't think that I classically have a good singing voice. I don't know what I'm doing at all. I just like don't
You hit
care.
the right you hit the right notes. That helps.
Yeah, I think that not caring though is the key to it. And I think that over like the last 9 years of podcasting, having my voice recorded is just something that I've just grown really, really used to. And I just like do not care at this point in my life. So I hope that you get there too, because I thought that your backups were very, very nice.
Well, thank you. And shout out to Beef. Beef has an awesome singing voice.
Dude, okay. I want to talk a little bit more about his voice. But before we get into the songs, I have one more thing to share from Beeve. So there were questions I had about this record, and I was, chatting with Beeve about maybe coming on the podcast, and we decided to not. He's been on the podcast so many times. I think he and Sue Lin have been here so much that I'm very conscientious of the fact that the members of the band have given this podcast so much of their time and energy for the last 5 years that I'm trying to bug them as little as possible at this point. And so Beeves just living his life. And so I sent him a couple of questions um, to comment on a few of the things that I asked. So I asked him about gear. And he says, my philosophy for this record was use what I got. I have one mic, an SM58. I
Is
used
that the one that Chris told him to get, do you think?
It's actually not. Chris
Oh, okay.
answered a question. So Nate on Patreon, we're going to go back to Patreon for a second. Nate writes, hi, Chris. If you have a second to happen to see this, would you be willing to share with us the mic that you recommended to Beeve? I need one too. And Chris wrote, probably the SM7B is what I suggested, question mark. So even Chris's answer is like open-ended and loosey-goosey. It's like he's not even sure what he suggested, which I thought was very funny. So anyway, back to Beef's comment. Beef says, I have one mic, an SM58. I used a variety of guitars I've built, including bass. All the bass and some of the guitars were DI'd into GarageBand using amp models. Some of the guitars were played through a little 1 watt tube amp I have called Bumbox, mic'd with the 58. The drumming was programmed, a necessity at the time, though obviously a real human drummer would have been preferable. I'm working on a follow-up album that will employ a human drummer. All at home. I program the drums. There is much I would do differently with this recording, but in the end, I'm very pleased that I saw it through. It's out of character for me in every way. And when you're middle aged and bored with yourself, acting out of character is really all there is left to do. More music to come. So, Beeve is he's doing some stuff out there, man. He's got more in the works, it sounds like, which is really nice to hear.
It's great, and I can relate to this so much because I'm kind of in the process of doing something similar and making a record right now. But when you reach a certain point in like your middle-agedness,
Mm-hmm.
you just need and like when you're in bands and doing stuff when you're younger, you've got a certain level of drive and a certain level of young angst in you. But going through the process of songwriting and making a record, kind of like after you've essentially stopped the grind and are just doing it for you and all that, it's a it's such a therapeutic experience compared to when you're younger. So
Yeah.
I totally feel everything he's saying in his comment there.
Yeah. Um, well, and there's one more comment that well, actually two more comments, but I'm going to save one for later. I asked him the story behind the cover photograph, And just so you can see it here, here it is again. And it's what looks to be a father and a son, or maybe a grown up and a child. Actually,
The
because you can't
welding
even.
mask
Yeah, it's
is
with
killing me.
the smaller one is wearing a welding mask, and the grown up is next to them is wearing is using normal eclipse glasses. And the photograph on the cover is from a TV news report on the total solar eclipse of February 26th, 1979, in Winnipeg, the day before I was born, or rather, the day I was being born. So when Beav was when Beeve's birth mother was in labor with him, um, there was a total solar eclipse happening in Winnipeg, which is pretty cool.
That's a really cool thing. I'm under, being a solar eclipse baby. Is that is that any how does that relate to being like a leap year baby? Because like a solar eclipse baby, I feel like is even more rare than a leap year baby, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we had a total solar eclipse here in Buffalo last spring, just about a year ago, actually. And thinking about, kids being born on that day, they're going to hear that their whole entire lives. You were born during the solar eclipse. You know what I mean? Like, think about how cool that would be to have that happen.
Like, what about being born like literally mid full blackout?
Dude, surreal. That would be absolutely amazing. When you like the time of birth, the exact minute is during totality. Crazy.
Yeah, there was it was last February we had it, right?
I think it was last April.
Because I was I know I was or maybe I was flying to either Ottawa or Boston, and I was at the airport when it happened.
It was definitely warm out because I was outside in the springtime and it was warm because I was not in like full winter coat stuff. But I'm pretty sure it was last April.
Okay, yeah, it might have been April. I was flying to Ottawa, but yeah, I remember it being. I was in the airport and the island airport in Toronto, and all of the gate agents and everyone literally walked outside and left everyone inside so they could watch it, and we were all stuck behind security and we couldn't do anything.
Oh my God, those jerks. Um, that's very funny. So we've got the record here. There are two sides to the cassette tape. The songs "Path of Totality" through "The Day Before" are on side A, and that's the first six songs. And then side B is "Don't Look or You'll Go Blind" through "A Light" and "Discover." And there are only four songs on side B. So we have a six song side A and a four song side B for the cassette tape version.
Interesting, the 6 and 4 instead of a 5 and 5, right?
Yeah, it is. And, no idea why. But
Well,
when
it's
I
good.
lived,
The back half has two songs that are longer on it, a 4 minuter and a 5 minuter, right? And the front half has the one 5 minute, but then a lot of 2 and 3s, I think, right?
yeah, yeah. So the first side has, so the opening track is only 54 seconds, Path of Totality, which is awesome because it's obviously a solar eclipse reference. But yeah, the first side through this day before. So this day before is only a minute 29. This letter is a minute 32. Path of Totality is 54 seconds. So Family of Origin is 5 minutes and 19 seconds. Old Growth Machine is 3 minutes, and Third Crossing is 4 minutes and 36 seconds. But there's definitely some shorter stuff on side A, and side B. Don't Look or You'll Go Blind is 2 minutes and 32, and then Social Committee is 4 minutes 27. Immense World is 5 minutes and two, and A Light and Discover is 4 minutes and 51. So yeah, the songs on the second half of the record are definitely a bit longer in length, more consistently long.
The sequencing I felt on the record was really well done.
Okay, so let's talk about these songs here. Path of Totality. I love it. Feels like a nice classic rock opening. It sounds like we could like launch into like a Queen record from this song, and it's a really cool reference to the cover artwork imagery. But I love that it felt like you could launch into like a Queen record from this first
Oh,
track.
It was I loved like the atmosphere around the guitar in that track. It was just so like dreamy and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I wrote I have like handwritten notes when I was listening to the record. And my second point, I wrote either VO and then a question mark or UO and a question mark. I can't identify what I was thinking when I wrote this, but either VO or UO, and I can't tell what either of those mean. So, oh, I think it was the sorry, it's VO and it was the voiceover at the end of the clip. That's what I was referring to. Do we know what that's from?
No, I don't. I'm wondering, was it Beeve doing the voiceover?
I thought it was a clip from like a news thing, if I
Dude,
remember
I mean,
correctly.
dude, maybe it's a clip from the eclipse. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's like a news broadcast clip from like the actual day of the eclipse. Like the song is called Path of Totality.
Yeah.
I just like now that I'm sitting here talking about the album, I can't like remember exactly what the voiceover sounds like, but that would be my hunch. But I am very, very aware that I'm not listening to it right now, and I could be wrong.
Yeah, I listened to it and I wrote if it took me that long to figure out what I meant by my note, it's probably not
All right,
my
well,
handwrite. I'm not writing any handwritten lyrics at this point because my handwriting is awful.
it just gets worse as I age too. Like I can't even imagine what it's going to look like in 10 years. Okay, so track two, Family of Origin. This is to me is the most expected style on the record, right? If people are aware of Propagandy and connect Beeve to Propagandy and songs like Tertium Non Dater and stuff like that from supporting cast, this song feels the most expected. You had a very positive reaction to this song, so tell me what you thought about it.
So I love this song. This is
Hmm.
probably my favorite track on the record, and I love that it essentially like given the first song is kind of like an intro into it. Like this, I would say is like the proper track one of the record. I
Hmm.
love that you're putting an over 5 minute track as the opening one out there as like a statement piece. Um, I love the vocals, the chorus hook in this song. I love how it starts. Um, and then the second half of the song when he does the back and forth vocals with himself, I
Yeah.
really really like that too. The This song reminds me so much. This is going to be another a reference here that literally zero people listening will get, but it reminds me this song of a band from North Bay, Ontario, that existed between say 1996 and 2003 called Pink Slip,
Oh man.
who my old band played a bunch of shows with them back in the late 90s, and they have an album called Resign in which this song could be on that record. It sounds so similar to it.
Interesting. So, are you suggesting I go check out that record then?
If you can find it, I
Okay.
I have a physical copy. Actually, you know what? I actually have I took out my MacBook Pro from 2007 with the CD drive in it, so I can actually rip one of the songs and send it to you. But um, that's probably the only way you're gonna ever listen to one of those. If it's, but I will do
Well,
it.
I please do. Um, does Beeve does his singing sound like anybody to you?
It literally sounds like the singing on this Pink Slip record. That's why it's so I disagree with the Fat Mike comment earlier.
I do too. Do you
I
want to know who he sounds like
wholeheartedly
to me?
because straight up, Beef has a million times better voice than Fat Mike.
Yeah. Do you want to know who he sounds like to me?
Who?
Walter Schriefels from
Oh yeah.
Quicksand. On like if you listen to Slip or Manic Compression by Quicksand, that's what Beeve sounds like to me. He sounds like Quicksand. And I told Beeve that he sounded like Walter from Quicksand. And I think that comment resonated maybe with him a little bit. He
I mean,
seemed
it's a
he
great
seemed very
comparison.
pleased. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he sounds like. And like Walt, I've seen Quicksand live twice in the last year, and the second I put on Family of Origin, I was like, "Holy crap, that sounds just like Walter from Quicksand." So very successful career musician, Walter Schriefels. So that's who I'm comparing Beef to. But
Yeah.
do you?
What
Okay, go
so
ahead.
just to go back, what percentage, because to go back when you said that for those familiar with Beeves' work in Propaganda,
Hmm.
what percentage of people listening to this record have A, never listened to Propaganda, or B, have no idea Beeve was ever in Propaganda?
I would imagine none. I just can't. I just can't really imagine that no one, that a person who hears this has no idea he was in it. Like,
Or
unless
has never
band,
knows that he was in Propaganda but have never listened to Propaganda. I'm curious is like who's coming into this record entirely outside of the Propaganda universe.
that would be amazing. If anybody happens to hear that, if that's any of you, which it isn't because of this
Because
podcast,
yeah, this is the worst place to ask that question. But anyways, I'm very
that,
curious about that because I'd be very interested in that person's perspective on this record,
yeah.
not having been clouded by the Propaganda universe.
Damn, you know what we should have done? We should have reached out to that dude, that teenager who was on our How to Clean Everything episode. The
Oh
guy,
yeah, I can get I can. That was Abe,
yeah, we
right?
should get Abe. We should have gotten Abe. Damn it, missed opportunity.
I'll reach out. I'll reach out to Abe and see if he can listen to it and provide a voice clip that will include somewhere else at some point. But Abe
Sweet.
spends all his time work. Abe is jacked now. He's like the biggest dude ever.
That's so funny. Um, okay, so a few things in the lyrics that jump out at me. There were some terms I had to Google. First of all, the opening lyric is the Esselmonts' plight to survive. They're hungry, so hungry. Pluck can only get you so far. The plucking courage of my origin. I had no idea what that means. And so I was Googling Esselmont. I was like, what is Esselmont? And I can't find a single reference to anything called Esselmont except for names. So my theory, which could be wrong, because I didn't ask Beeve this, is maybe Esselmont is the name of his family when they were migrating to Canada, during like colonization and things like that. Um, that's my theory is that Esselmont is maybe like a family name because I can't think of anything else. So anyway, there's another term in the song. Terra nullius is a Latin expression for nobody's land. And in history and international law has been used as a principle to justify claims that territory may be acquired by a state's occupation of it. And I found out terra nullius is a catch-all phrase in Australia as well to explain how the country was founded. And if you think about the leather lyrics, they drew a bunch of lines on the land. This one's for you, but not for you. It's really indicative of power, conquest, domination, and civilization. So maybe this song is about a family named Esselmont arriving in Canada during the European like conquest and settling of Canada. That's my biggest theory. And I love when beef goes poof. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's so funny. Poof. I really, really like that lyric. He goes, and a Canadian poof. Very, very funny. So there's some humor in there as well. Um, Great guitar solo, super long song. There's a great fading outro. And in another life, I could totally hear this as a new propaganda song too, you know?
That being said, I'm happy this is not a Propaganda song
Hmm.
because I'm going to say something controversial here. I don't think it would be as good if it were a Propaganda song.
Yeah, I think that it would turn into a thing where they would like propaganda's process sounds exhausting, right? They themselves say how
Yeah.
exhausting they are with their constantly revising songs and their obsession with like manipulating tunes. Like this record feels a lot more organic compared to a propaganda record, which is very put through like a grinder. This one doesn't feel like that, and I appreciate it about it.
Absolutely. And I think that's what sets it apart from the Propaganda releases, in that there's just that. maybe extra level of vulnerability in all aspects with regards to this record that I
Hmm.
think make it really strong.
Yeah. All right. So we have a great opening track. Let's go to the next song. This Letter. Uh, the opening acoustic guitar reminds me of Jimmy Page, man. Like some of that 70s classic stuff. Um, there is a really interesting little story in this song. The opening line is this letter from mom from a time now gone, written not on stone nor sung, but paper, a trail to carry through time. And I'm like, man, is this like a letter that like Beeve has in his life from maybe like his birth mother or something like that? Um, that's what I'm curious about. If he's got like this like one thing, this artifact that he just like kind of has carried with him throughout his life, that matters to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought process just because, we all have essentially like things that we carry with us through life that give us meaning and everything. So, I hope it's something like that for him, but
Hmm. Yeah, these family artifacts are something interesting. Like I have this box in my closet with my daughter's name written on the box, and they're just like sort of like little trails through time. Like I've got like little art projects she made in like nursery school and stuff like that in there, and I've got like little cards that she gave me for like Father's Day and stuff. And anytime I get like a little cool thing from her, I just kind of throw it in this box just so that it stays safe, that the cats don't mess it up. But it's pretty funny to like pop open the lid of that box once in a while, and be like, oh, this is from 8 years ago now, which is really weird. Um, but also, um, it's funny because this song kind of reminds me of like the banality of paperwork in life and how it makes me like laugh to think about like the bureaucratic shuffling that accompanies every single human being in the world. So it's like, uh, because the lyrics then go on to say, and we're bogged down in this paperwork. We just can't get ahead. So please file it and ask the social committee to brief me on this letter from mom. So there's like, it just reminds me of all of like the digital trail and like all the filing cabinets around the world that accompanies every single life. It's pretty overwhelming to think about.
if I could just go back to that box in the closet that you talked about,
Hmm.
and maybe this is completely offside and one of the reasons why I don't have children and will never have children, but I thought it instantly came up in my mind, what if you like all of her projects, what if you put reviews on all of them and then gave it to her later in life where you like harshly reviewed all of her preschool crafts and like gave it a rating on a 10, like 2 out of 10, lines not defined, like stuff like that, and just wrote like super harsh reviews on all her stuff and gave it to her when she was like 30.
it would be like a, a post, therapizing traumatization where she'd be like, huh, I was so happy up until now. And then all of a sudden I realized all this therapy that I need. That would be very, very cruel and also a little entertaining at the same time. But I promise her I will not do that. So I'm saying on the record that will never happen. Okay,
That's
so we
why I
have
don't have kids.
that's very funny though, Steve. So we have this next song, Old Growth Machine.
Birds of a feather flock together like sitting ducks.
This is a song about birds, I think, and migration. Um, I could see this song being an Agassi song. And Beeve better be careful singing this well because Derek and Ryan from Agassi might wind up making him sing because this song to me is very, very Agassi. And, the guys in the band might be like, Beeve, It is time for you to become the lead singer of this band. Um, but this is a song I don't really know a heck of a lot about what this song is actually saying. It's a little beyond my preparation for this moment, but uh, I did look up the term Old Petoskey, which is a lyric. And the term Old Petoskey is most closely associated with the Petoskey stone, a fossilized coral found in the Devonian period rocks of the Gravel Point Formation. While there's no specific historical landmark or place in Manitoba bearing the name Old Petoskey, the term is sometimes used to refer to the town of Petoskey in Emmett County, Michigan, which was named after a prominent local Odawa chief, Ignatius Petoskey. The town is known for its Petoskey stones and the statue erected in honor of Chief Petoskey. So there's a little bit of the terminology in the song that I did wind up looking up, but I found the lyric "Put that in your gratitude journal" to be a particularly hilarious
Yeah.
moment of the song.
I think you nailed it when you were talking about Beeve singing on this song. And if I'm not sure if Beeve is going to listen to this episode or not. If I
I
were him,
apologize if he does. I wouldn't.
if I were him, I absolutely would not listen to us talking anytime. But if I had one goal from this
Hmm.
episode, knowing that Beeve is listening, it's to really tell him that he needs to lean more into the vocals because he is an actually wonderful vocalist and he should not be self-conscious about his vocals at all. Like I genuinely think he's a really really good vocalist.
Yeah. I don't really know the term for this, but like he's got like a natural harmonic in his voice where he like it's like it's kind of like David if you like isolate David Lee Roth's vocals, how he has like this natural harmonic thing when he's like um Beeve sounds like he has like almost like a natural harmonic as well in his vocals, which I really enjoy about it too.
So in can you when you edit this episode, can you put the isolated vocal David Lee Roth vocal track that got posted in the Discord?
Dude,
Can you insert that into the part where you just mentioned David Lee
I
Roth's
we'll see. I
vocals?
mean, David Lee Roth has a very he's actually got kind of a special voice. If you listen to those isolated David Lee Roth vocal tracks. Um, okay, so we got the next song. We're still on side A of the cassette, Third Crossing.
At the third crossing of the white mud.
Okay, can I say something crazy here?
Yeah.
This is my favorite song, and you want to know why?
Why?
I realized it was my favorite song because yesterday I was on a 26-mile bike ride and I was singing this song out loud while I was riding my bike. And I just kept going, at the third crossing of the white mud. And there was an old folks manor. And this song has gripped me the most. It has earwormed me the most. And so I am saying that Third Crossing is my favorite song on the record just because of how much it has naturally stuck with me. Um, so I did a little bit of research on this one, but I just love the dissonant note on the opening first riff, you know?
And speaking of that part you were singing, if you look at my notes here, I'm not sure if you can read what my notes say.
And Kathy Hook?
Yeah, so I meant to write catchy, but I wrote Kathy. This song has a Kathy hook.
Oh my God. Thank you, all Kathys in the world. This one's for you. Okay, so the White Mud is a river. It's a small meandering river in southwest Manitoba. It begins at the confluence of Stony Creek and Boggy Creek in Neepawa and flows east to Arden, Gladstone, Westbourne, and discharging into Lake Manitoba at Lynch's Point. So white mud is a real thing. Um,
Honestly, the Stony Creek and Boggy Creek is never there's never been a more Manitoba thing than Stony Creek and Boggy Creek.
yeah. Well, and then in the lyrics, Esselmont comes back. Esselmont told you the settlement was called Palestine, the last stop on the trail to the northwest. And I showed you that on the map in the fold out zine. The settlement was called Palestine as a lyric in the song here. So that's pretty cool. And then, so Esselmont comes back, which leads me to think that it's like the settlement of this family that Beeve is descended from, right? Um, that's just a thought, like I said. But then we have a lyric referring to McNabb's house in Canada. And I Googled that. I was like, what is McNabb's house? And maybe it's fictional. Maybe Beeve made it up. Maybe he read it somewhere at some time. But there are, according to Google, McNabb's house in Canada may refer to several different properties. One prominent example is Dundurn Castle in Hamilton, Ontario, close to you,
Right down the street.
which was once the home of Sir Allan McNabb, the first Prime Minister of Upper Canada. So probably not that, but who knows?
No.
Additionally, McNabb's Island is located at the entrance to Halifax Harbor, Nova Scotia, and has several historic houses, including the original McNabb House and a fort. And other McNabb related houses are found in Belleville, Ontario, and Southampton, Ontario. So probably not those in the song, but like you know me, whenever I see like a specific reference in a song, I have to go and look it up. It's a mental problem that I have, a personality defect, if you will. But that's what I found out whenever I put McNabb's house into Google.
Next time you visit, I'll take you to Dundurn Castle.
That would rock. And then, dude, this song, like, it's got this like really, really slow tempo, but then at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, it opens up.
Right all the way. Come on, it's the Transcincontental Tour.
When he gets into the come on, it's the Transcontinental Tour, and the train whistle blows. And
Love the train
song-
whistle.
dude, so good. And then the song like picks up into this super catchy riff, this engaging hook. And I was like, if I was seeing it live, I would be like bobbing up and down in this part, right? It sucks me right in. And I really, really love the journey of this song. It's a 4 minute and 36-second song, and the first half and the second half like are very, very different from each other, which I really appreciated.
My question for Beeve here would be the train whistle. Was it a just like a stock train whistle sound? Was it he actually recorded a train whistling outside, or did he use one of those wood things where you blow into it and it's like whoo, like the train whistle
Dude.
noise thing? Which one was
Yeah.
it?
I mean, seriously, because like, I've got this like Zoom recorder here, and like, if you go out into the world, you can get really good natural ambient
Yeah.
atmospheric sounds on these little microphones right here. And I'm wondering if that's something he did or if he found it in some other way. Great tune, my favorite one on the record. Okay, so then we have the last song on side A called "The Day Before." And it almost has like this Baba O'Reilly intro thing, but it's a little more mellow. But it's basically
It's so
like
dreamy.
it's a conclusion to side
Yeah.
A of the record, you know?
It's like a good. The way I look at it is track one on the record, on the first song on side A and the last song on side A are bookending side A, basically.
Yeah, dude, side A is basically its own standalone release if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually kind of a fun way to think about it. And I'm glad that Beeve wrote in his commentary that he would prefer people hear it on cassette, because if you really think about the first song and the last song on side A, it's almost like a standalone EP, if you will. But then we move to side B, and the first song is "Don't Look or You'll Go Blind." A very atmospheric, almost Iron and Wine-ish
So
song.
peaceful. Like I listened to
Very.
that and I was like I was laying yesterday afternoon. I was laying on my bed after doing some meditation, just listening to it, and I was like, "Oh man, this song is is just so beautifully peaceful and atmospheric. I was like, this is a good vibe for me right
Yeah,
now.
totally. And the lyrics are very simple. It's only three lines. It's too bright in this darkness. There's too much light. And it is, to me, a reference to the eclipse again that happened on the day that Beat was born. Hmm.
I I'm curious if Beav is does is he a fan of eclipses, and like does he look forward to all upcoming eclipses, or is it just that one specific eclipse that he has the connection to because it was during his birth, or being born in and around an eclipse? Does that make you, you know, just a general eclipse fan going forward? I
Well,
want what's his connection to eclipses?
I'm a fan of eclipses. I've seen two total solar eclipses. I think I saw one in like 2015 in Missouri. We had a full, and then again last year, 2024 here in Buffalo. So like I can't believe that I went 30 plus years of my life never seeing even a partial eclipse, and then I've seen two in the last within the last decade. So I feel very lucky to have seen two. So I could imagine maybe B feels connected to them because I feel connected to them too.
You didn't have any when you were a kid?
I don't recall a single soul total or solar or lunar. Like no one ever pointed it out to me. No one ever forced me to watch one. It just kind of like I don't
I
have any
remember one from
recollection.
like, I think it was like 1990, either between 1991 and 1994. I remember one from when I was in high school. Because I remember everyone back then being like, "Don't look at it, you'll go blind," and it being like the school being very, very adamant because this is pre-internet, and they'll be like, "You're gonna never see anything again if you look at this."
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they like covered the windows in this school so no one would look up.
Oh wow. Man, that's scary. Um, yeah. Well, then we have the next song, The Social Committee. And I got a comment from Beeve on this one. Do you want to comment first, or do you want to know what Beeve says about this one?
Let's go be first.
So Beeve said, I said, what's the social committee about? And he goes, it's a committee most workplaces have that you pay into so you get a card or flowers if you get sick or have a death in the family. The lyrics are based on a true story of my public shaming for not joining the social committee. I think they're stupid.
100% relate to this because every job I've had has these literal dumb as shit things. Except we everywhere I've worked, you don't pay into them. The money just comes out of like company money. But
Oh,
even still, they are dumb. They are
hmm.
forced participation in literally the worst activities imaginable. Like, no, I do not
Well,
want like, and I think I'm gonna about to go on a rant that's about to make me unemployable.
I mean, that's what
But
the song is about. He hates him.
historically speaking, when you're working in office culture and corporate office culture, non-profit, my experience in nonprofit life is very different from corporate office culture, but like corporate office culture, like in finance industry or insurance or whatever these places I've worked, is literally the worst culture imaginable that you could have in a workplace.
Mhm.
Stop trying to force me hanging out with all of these people that clearly don't like each other. No one likes each other at these places. Why are you forcing everyone to spend time together doing things they don't like?
Yeah. Oh my God. And this song, the lyrics are so funny. Okay, so listen to this. I'm sorry for your loss. I want you to know we suffer together. You're not alone. Though you may not believe me because you see I never paid the social committee fee. So it's like you can only your grief and your consolation is only valid if you have contributed or participate in this financial extraction of money from
No,
people in the workplace. So your consolation, your condolences not valid unless you have financially contributed and paid for to prove the validity of your condolences. Um,
that oh, it's that's it. There's so much wrong with this. It like the social committees remove all genuineness from anything. They're terrible in every way. because you can't make genuine friends, you can't give genuine condolences, you can't do anything because it's forced interaction. It does not mean anything if it doesn't come from the heart. I am willing to die on this hill of how strongly I feel about this.
Dude, and the next lyrics are so funny because imagine like a gathering, right? And there's food. Okay. So imagine that you haven't paid into this, and then listen to these lyrics. The way you whispered, the way you looked at me when I ate that pizza. What? He didn't pay his fee. So Beeve goes into this gathering with his coworkers. He eats a slice of pizza, and everybody's like, he's eating the pizza. He didn't contribute. Like, and they're all judging him for not contributing to the fee, but participating in having a snack at the gathering with the other coworkers. It's very, very funny.
Oh, like that right there is a scene from The Office.
And it's like later on in the song, can I have a piece? Pay your fee. Can I have a piece? Just pay your fee.
I'll pay you for this slice of pizza, but I don't want it to be considered a fee.
Yeah, what is it? Two 75, $2.75. And then the name Kyle is also referenced in this song. So we have a little reference to the name of the artist as well. But this song again reminds me of Quicksand. Reminds me of a band from the UK I love called Crazy Arm. The first verse is very funny. There are references to the dairy pork industry being green and stewards of the land, which was very funny. There's a lot of hilarious sarcasm, and like when I think about times in my life when I've been like in my place of work and I'm walking in the hallway and it's like, hey, how's it going? "Oh, I'm great. I'm so great." And everybody's just like lying to each other about how they're
Oh
having
yeah.
such a great day. "How are you today?" "I'm awesome." "How are you?" "I'm
Yeah.
so good." And it's all about the forced positivity that comes in with a lot of
Yeah.
workplaces as well. So this is a very, very, very funny song to me.
Yeah, in reality, it's how are you? Well, I'm here, so obviously not great.
How are
You
you?
know?
"I'm here because I like not starving to death." How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so good, real good tune. I really like this one. Then we have the next one, Immense World.
One for your life, down through the shadows. Measure each stride, and they shake from your intuition.
I could totally hear Jord playing drums on a song like this when he comes in with "Run for Your Life." The lyric "Run for Your Life," like this to me is like definitely like the same songwriter as the person who wrote the music to Tertium Non Dater. Um, there's almost like a Pinkerton-ish guitar tone in the second half of the song, which I enjoyed. Very, very cool acoustic outro. And then Beef does this like spoken word under the music, and it kind of reminds me of like when like Davey from AFI would like narrate on songs as well, because Davey's voice was so much lower when he would
Then
talk
his singing voice. Yeah.
than his singing voice. It's such a stark contrast. So like Beeve to me, like there's this really stark contrast between his narrated parts and his sung parts, and this song does that really well to me.
I love the "was that you or was that me" line.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
in the outro part, the "who decided this is normal" really is so pertinent to everything happening in the world right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really really good one. Okay, and then we have the last tune, "Alight and Discover."
Everybody got a story that you know. Everybody gets looking further down the road.
What do you think about this song? Because I love this song.
I mean, the guitars beautiful. The actual songwriting and structure of this song, I love it. The chorus hook, again, really, really like it. I think it's a perfect last track for this record.
Hmm. Yeah. It just the lesson of this song is that, like to me, like everybody's got a story, right? This song is about. I feel like it's about birth circumstances. Um, it also encourages me to be aware of like the natural world around me. The lyric "third crossing" comes back. There's like a re-reference to third crossing There is another reference to the social committee. So this song ties in previous plot points throughout the record very, very nicely. This is a really deep song. Um, our lives seem to like pass us by, and like the shit we use to fill our time wastes so much potential in this life. And to me, that's what this song is about. Um, it's
Which is a
about,
very real thing because, like when you think of the average person,
mhm.
what percentage of the average person's day is being used for actual constructive, like self-benefiting or for the greater good? Like what percent? Like the average person? What, like 8%, 5%,
Mhm.
maybe?
Yeah, the lyric "We don't even know we're on a train," and then it goes into that big swelling like outro. We don't even know we're on a train. It's like we don't know what is surrounding us. Like we're missing so much of our lives. And um, to me, like I don't know, yeah, I don't know Beef personally very well. I've talked to him several times, but he seems like he's got like a lot of habits that are very connected to the world. Like he goes out in the world and he finds like wood for his guitars like in the natural world, and he like makes like natural dyes for his guitars that he builds. He seems like a really cool and engaged dad. He works with kids in his career as a teacher. So this song to me is about like paying attention to what's around us, and that's what I get out of it, and I really dig this song. It's just a great song. But the lesson in there to me is like, hey, Greg, pay attention because your life is going to be over a lot sooner than you think, and you better appreciate it now.
I think that's a very good message for, in the year 2025 where everyone is so wrapped up in politics, in social media, in online culture, in everything like this, realizing that, obviously politics matters and stuff because it affects our livelihoods, but like there's so much that we take for granted and don't focus and spend our time on that we're missing it all, and that's why, like you said, you spend your time cycling because it enables you to reconnect with all of that stuff. So I think it's
Hmm.
something that everyone, advice that everyone can take from this song.
Yeah, I mean, really, to me, like my overall closing comment and takeaway on this record is that to me, this is a album about aspects of Beeves' past, uh, his origin, his birth family, his like adopted family, the natural world, the settlement of Canada, and some funny moments along the way. He doesn't really consider himself a singer, so this is like a stab at like the alternate life. Who would Kyle Esselmont have been if he hadn't been David Gillis? Do you know what I mean? What if he had sang in more of his band instead of just doing instrumental music? Like, what if Giant Sons had all of Beeves singing on it, right? What if he wrote more for Propaganda? Like, what would those songs sound like if he'd worked on these with Chris, Todd, and Jord? Um, but yeah, this is a really cool project, and I'm really excited for Beav to do more. And I'm glad that we took the time to talk about the entire album.
Yeah, I'm genuinely looking forward to the follow up to this record because this one was such a pleasant surprise and something that I will continue to listen to because there's so many standout songs on here that I feel like are really just fit the time and place of where we are as a world right now.
Love it. Well, if people want to hear this album, you can do so at lekyle.bandcamp.com. It's lekyle.bandcamp.com. If you Google it, you're never going to find it. So you got to type in the link accurately. Um, and we'll put a link to the album itself in the show notes. And I'm on Bandcamp right now, and I'm actually noticing that the banner at the top of the Bandcamp right now is a portion of the map from the zine, and you can see the Palestine settlement listed on the map on the top of his Bandcamp. If you want to go and take a peek at what the big map on the inside of the fold-out zine looks like, he's got a little bit of it on Bandcamp. But yeah, Steve, good chat on Transcontinental Tour. Good times.
Yeah, I loved it. I hope all 9 Propagandy fans enjoyed that. Suck on that, Nicholas Costanzo.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we will be back with more stuff in the future. Thank you so much for listening. Email us at propagandipod if you want to get in touch. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Go Habs.